The crash landing. The storm hit Marcus Reed's research station like nature's own fury, rattling the reinforced windows and howling through the mountain passes. He'd been monitoring seismic activity in the remote peaks for 3 years now, content with his solitude and the endless data streams from his equipment. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed as he tracked an unusual energy signature that had appeared on his sensors. Then the sky exploded. A brilliant streak of light tore through the storm clouds, followed by a thunderous crash that shook his entire station. Marcus grabbed his emergency kit and headed into the blizzard, his thermal suit protecting him from the brutal cold. Whatever had crashed wasn't far from his position, and protocol demanded he investigate any unidentified objects in his sector. He found the crater 50 yards from his station, steam rising where superheated metal met snow. The craft was unlike anything in human records, its surface seeming to shift between silver and deep blue in the swirling snow. As he approached, a section of the hull opened with a soft hiss. Marcus stopped dead when he saw her. The being that emerged was clearly alien, but hauntingly beautiful. Her skin had a translucent quality, with patterns that looked like crystalline veins running beneath the surface. She stood about his height, her form distinctly feminine despite the obvious differences. Her eyes were the most striking feature, large and opalescent, shifting from blue to green as she looked at him. She stumbled, clearly injured, and Marcus moved without thinking. Training kicked in as he caught her before she could fall, noting the warm fluid that served as her blood seeping from wounds on her arm and side. "Easy," he said softly, though he had no idea if she understood. "I won't hurt you." Those magnificent eyes focused on him with an intelligence that transcended species barriers. When she spoke, her voice was melodic, despite her obvious pain. "Please," she whispered in accented but clear English. "They hunt me. Need sanctuary." Marcus looked back toward his station, then at this injured being who had literally fallen from the stars into his isolated world. Every regulation, every protocol screamed at him to report this immediately. But something in her eyes, a desperate hope mixed with resignation, made his decision for him. "Come on," he said, supporting her weight as they moved toward his station. "Let's get you inside and warmed up." As they struggled through the snow together, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that his quiet, ordered life had just changed forever.
Healing and trust. Inside the warmth of his station, Marcus helped the alien woman to his medical bay. She moved with obvious pain, favoring her left side where the strange, luminescent fluid continued to seep from her wounds. Her breathing was shallow but rhythmic, and he noticed how her crystalline patterns seemed to pulse faintly with each breath. "My name is Marcus," he said gently, as he gathered medical supplies. "What do I call you?" "Naya," she replied, watching his movements with those mesmerizing eyes. "Your language, it is similar to the trade tongue we learned." Marcus began cleaning her wounds carefully, noting that her physiology was more similar to humans than he'd expected. The bleeding slowed under his ministrations, and he watched in fascination as her body seemed to respond to his touch with increased luminescence along those crystal patterns. "You're helping me," Naya said, wonder in her voice. "Your species, they speak of humans as cold, calculating. You are not cold." "Depends who you ask," Marcus replied with a small smile. "My ex-fiancée might disagree." Something that might have been a laugh escaped Naya's lips. As he worked, she told him about her world, Athros, where her people had lived in harmony with crystalline forests that sang in the wind. Corporate interests had arrived, claiming mineral rights to their sacred groves. When her people resisted, they were declared hostile assets. I escaped during the evacuation raids. My pod was damaged. I thought I would die in the void. Marcus found himself drawn to her voice, to the way her eyes reflected light like precious stones. When he finished tending her wounds, she caught his hand in hers. Her touch was warm, electric, sending unexpected shivers through him. "You saved my life," she whispered. "On Aethros, this creates a bond between souls." Their faces were close now, her alien beauty hypnotic in the soft light of his medical bay. Marcus felt himself leaning closer, drawn by something deeper than mere attraction. Her patterns pulsed brighter, responding to his proximity. "Naya," he breathed. She pressed her forehead against his, a gesture that seemed both foreign and intimate. "I feel your kindness. It resonates through your being like music through crystal." Their lips met in a kiss that transcended species, gentle and electric. Marcus felt warmth spread through his chest as her patterns flared brilliantly, as if responding to their connection. When they parted, both were breathing heavily. Naya's eyes held a new depth, a trust that went beyond gratitude. "Stay," Marcus whispered against her lips. "Let me protect you." Outside, the storm continued to rage, but inside his station, something beautiful had begun to bloom between two beings from different worlds. The hunters arrive. 3 days passed in peaceful isolation. Marcus found himself completely enchanted by Naya, learning about her culture while she marveled at human ingenuity. She showed him how her people communicated through harmonic resonance, her crystal patterns creating beautiful light displays that responded to her emotions. When she was happy, which seemed to be often around Marcus, they glowed with warm golden hues. They shared meals, stories, and increasingly intimate moments. Marcus had never felt such a connection with anyone, human or otherwise. Naya seemed equally drawn to him, often touching his face with wonder, tracing his features as if memorizing them. "Your people build such clever things," she said, examining his seismic equipment. "But you live apart from each other. Why?" "Sometimes solitude is easier," Marcus admitted, "less chance of getting hurt." Naya moved closer, her hand finding his. "Less chance of joy as well." Their kiss was deeper this time, filled with growing passion. Marcus marveled at how her patterns danced across her skin, how they brightened when he touched her. They had just begun to explore something more intimate when his proximity alarm screamed. 3 black vessels descended through the storm, military-grade ships that landed in formation around his station. Marcus cursed, pulling up security feeds that showed armed figures in environmental suits deploying from the crafts. "Corporate hunters," Naya breathed, her patterns suddenly dim with fear. "They found me." A voice boomed through his communication system. "Attention, research station. You are harboring stolen corporate property. Surrender the alien asset immediately or face charges for harboring a fugitive." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Property?" He looked at Naya, saw the resignation creeping into her beautiful eyes. "You're not property. You're a person." "They will take me," she whispered. "Use me to find others who escaped. My people's gifts. They want to exploit them." Marcus moved to his weapons locker, pulling out a hunting rifle and ammunition. It wasn't much against military-grade equipment, but he'd be damned if he'd let them take her without a fight. "Marcus, no!" Naya caught his arm. "They will kill you." He turned to face her, cupping her face in his hands. Her patterns pulsed with anguish, and he felt his heart break at the fear in her eyes. "I won't let them take you," he said firmly. "I don't care what their corporate laws say. You're not property, and I'm not giving you up." Naya's eyes filled with something that might have been tears. "Why? Why would you risk everything for me?" Marcus kissed her fiercely, pouring all his feelings into the contact. When they parted, he pressed his forehead against hers. "I'm falling in love with you," he whispered, "and humans don't abandon the people they love." Outside, the hunters began their approach, but inside the station, two hearts beat as one, ready to face whatever came together. Standing together. The hunters moved with military precision, surrounding the station while their leader continued his demands through the communication system. Marcus had disabled the automatic locks and powered down non-essential systems, buying them time while he formulated a plan. "The geothermal vents," Marcus said suddenly, studying his geological surveys. "There's an unstable pocket about 200 meters north. If I can trigger a controlled release—" Naya watched him work, her patterns shifting to match his determined mood. "You think like my people," she said admiringly, "using the earth itself as ally." As the hunters began cutting through his outer doors, Marcus felt Naya's hand on his shoulder. She pulled him into a fierce kiss, her patterns blazing with passion and fear. "If we die," she whispered against his lips, "I want you to know I have never felt such connection. Your soul sings to mine." Marcus held her close, feeling her warmth, her unique energy. "We're not dying today, I promise you that." They moved together through his station, Marcus rigging his equipment, while Naya used her natural resonance abilities to confuse the hunter's scanning equipment. Her gifts were remarkable, Marcus realized, creating harmonic interference that made their thermal signatures scatter and dance. When the hunters finally breached the main door, they found only empty rooms. Marcus and Naya had taken refuge in his sub-basement, where the geothermal monitoring equipment hummed with barely contained energy. "This is your last warning," the lead hunter's voice echoed through the station. "Surrender the asset or we will use force." Marcus triggered the sequence he'd programmed, sending a massive sonic pulse through the mountain's geological weak points. The earth responded with a roar, superheated steam erupting from vents all around the station. In the chaos and confusion, the hunter ships were forced to retreat to avoid damage. Naya laughed with pure joy, her entire body glowing like a star. "You are magnificent," she breathed, pulling Marcus into a passionate embrace. Their lips met hungrily, months of growing attraction finally overwhelming them. Marcus felt her patterns pulse against his skin as she pressed close, her hands exploring his body with wonder and desire. He responded in kind, marveling at her otherworldly beauty, at the way she seemed to glow brighter with each touch. "I love you," she whispered, as they held each other in the warm darkness. "I choose you, Marcus Reed. I choose this world, this life with you." "And I choose you," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "Always." Above them, the hunters regrouped, but for now, they were safe in each other's arms. New beginnings. The corporate hunters retreated after the geothermal display, but Marcus knew they would return with better equipment and more force. However, he hadn't counted on the response from his own people. Word of the hunters' presence had reached human authorities, and Marcus's distress signal had been received by a patrol ship in the outer system. Captain Taurus of the Human Defense Coalition arrived within hours, her ship bristling with weapons and righteous anger. "Any further harassment of civilians will be met with military response," Taurus announced over open channels. From his station, Marcus watched the corporate ships depart, knowing that galactic politics had just shifted in their favor. The Human Coalition had been looking for a reason to challenge corporate overreach, and Naya's case provided the perfect opportunity. "You're safe," Marcus whispered to Naya, as they stood together watching the stars. Naya's patterns danced with joy and love. "Our people," she corrected gently. "I want to apply for sanctuary on your world." The paperwork took weeks, but during that time, Marcus and Naya built something beautiful together.
They converted part of his station into living quarters suitable for both their species, blending human technology with Etherian harmonic principles. Naya's presence made his research more effective than ever, her natural residence abilities providing insights into planetary geology that revolutionized the field. More importantly, they built a love that transcended the boundaries between worlds. "You changed everything," Marcus whispered one night as they laid together, under the starlight streaming through their bedroom windows. Naya's patterns pulsed softly in rhythm with his heartbeat, a visible manifestation of their deep connection. "You gave me hope when I had none," she replied, tracing gentle fingers across his chest. "Showed me that not all beings seek to exploit what is different." Their kiss was soft, full of promise and forever. As Marcus held this remarkable woman who had fallen from the stars into his life, he marveled at how the universe worked. He'd spent years in isolation, convinced that solitude was safer than connection. Naya had shown him that love was worth any risk. "Marry me," he whispered suddenly. "I don't know how it works between our species, but marry me anyway." Naya's patterns exploded in brilliant light, her joy infectious. "On Athros, we bind souls with harmonic resonance," she laughed. "But yes, Marcus Reed, I will marry you in whatever way makes it real." Outside their window, the aurora danced across the sky, as if the universe itself was celebrating their union. Two hearts, two souls, two different worlds coming together in love and hope for the future. Their story was just beginning.